Hello everyone, welcome back to the Looney Bin. My name is Looney, and today I want to talk to you specifically about Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, I'm not going to talk about what happens at the end, although some parts of this video will probably go into that a little bit. Probably not, but just a fair warning, just in case you don't want to be or hear anything about the ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Just know that there might be some spoilers. I don't think there will be, but just in case, just want to let you guys know. But I want to talk about Aerith's character in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because there's a lot of discussion about certain aspects of her writing that just seem a little off. And the first point I want to make is that I don't hate Aerith. I don't hate her at all. I actually love Aerith. I thought Aerith was a fantastic character. But I'm not sure about her writing in Rebirth. I'm not sure how well her writing in Rebirth actually is, because there are instances within Rebirth that just seemed a little off. And I don't know if they were trying a different approach or trying to do something different with Aerith, because in Final Fantasy VII Remake, Aerith was fantastic. I thought her writing was amazing. It was her character was so much better in Remake than it was in the original, specifically the parts in Midgar. Like, holy cow, they gave her so much more depth than the original ever did. And then Rebirth kind of didn't really do that well as a continuation. It felt weird. The whole thing about her writing is that there are points in the story where just she comes off kind of like, not mean, but like kind of like she just seems weird. You know? Now, parts of it could be because her memories were taken from her, which she says early on in the game, where the Whispers somehow take away her memories. So there's parts of her memories that was taken away, so she doesn't know, like, things that she probably already knew in the future. And just from that, we have confirmation that Aerith does know stuff about the future, right? But the Whispers take it away. And could that be possibility as to why Aerith seemed a little weird? I don't know. I can't say for sure if that is the case, right? But I do want to talk about her writing because it was so interesting going through the game, playing through the game, and seeing some of the dialogue they have written up for her and the way she sometimes acts. Seemed like it just seemed off. Like there was just something off about it that I can't really explain it or try to understand why they did what they did. But I'm going to try to see if maybe someone out there like yourself could possibly know. So definitely comment down below if you maybe know or understand why she's doing it. But I'm going to give you my take. I'm going to give you my opinion about why Aerith is acting like this. So I think part of the way we need to understand Aerith is that she is an extrovert that was basically shielded, caged in Midgard because of who she was, which was a Cetra, right? She has been always kept watch by the Turks, by Shinra. And anytime she tried to, do something or hang out with somebody, they wouldn't want to really either hang out with her or they would act really weird or jealous of her in some form of way, which you can see a little bit in Traces of Two Paths. And it seems so weird that some of her extrovertism, I don't know if that's an actual word, is, in display in a very, very weird way. And by that I mean, I think that's in part due to, her being caged up, right? It's very difficult for an extrovert at all to really understand, the way people think, the way the world works, as an extrovert who's caged. Introverts can handle it very well because most of the time they do want to be secluded. They do want to be alone, right? Most of the time they, prefer it that way. But Aerith's not that. She's an extrovert. She is bubbly. She is cheerful. She wants to go and spread, love and kindness to the whole world. She wants to meet people. She wants to see everything. And that's what Rebirth essentially does, which gives her that opportunity. Which is why Rebirth does feel more like an Aerith game, because we're looking through her as she's exploring this world for the first time, the same way we are. We may know what happens in the original, we may know like certain places and events in the original, but exploring them in a 3D space like this, we are seeing it for the first time as well. So we're essentially viewing it in the same way Aerith does. And her character is wanting to explore this world, wanting to see this. Yet her writing, especially her writing towards Cloud and towards Not necessarily other people, because with other people it's perfectly fine, but her responses to a lot of things that Cloud says, to a lot of things that she talks with Cloud about, kind of, go against other characters as well. And one of the biggest controversial and weird, essentially, writing choices in the game was, the situation on the Junon when she talks to Cloud, and they talk about the flower, right? She gives him a flower on that street in remake. She tells him, if you, I think it's a specific dialogue or a choice depending on what choice you make. She talks about, you could give this flower, this flower represents the union. You could give it to like someone special, to whatever, right? And okay, cool, that's fine. And then later on, when Cloud meets Aerith again, they talk about that flower, right? And she asks him, "Ooh, who did you give it to? Your girlfriend?" And Cloud's being coy and whatever. And she understood that Cloud gave it to somebody. And then she later finds out who he gives it to when she sees the flower at Seventh Heaven. So in the Junon dialogue, for some strange reason, she talks about giving the flower to Tifa insulting, because, well, not necessarily insulting, but it just felt a little confusing, because she talks about how, like, you shouldn't re-gift a present from a girl you give to another girl. It just seemed off. To me, when I first heard about that, I was like, why is she angry? Why does she, why is she angry about this, right? She's the one who said he could give it to anybody, right? So it just seemed off. My guessing is that Aerith at that time was probably seeing Zack a little bit in Cloud, and felt insulted, or felt a little hurt, maybe felt a little jealous, that maybe because she thought Cloud might have been somewhat like Zack, that it would be like Zack giving the flower to somebody else. Maybe that's it, but I don't know. It just came off weird. The writing came off weird. Maybe she was jealous. I don't know. But why does she need to be jealous if she knows about who Cloud basically gave the flower to? She even mentions it. And it's like, what is going on? Why is she acting like this? Even from what I understand, the voice actress for Aerith was also confused about that whole dialogue situation as well. So it's like, what is going on? What is with this weird writing choice, right? And then we continue, and there's certain aspects of it, especially with her relationship with Cloud, that just comes out, I don't know. Another example would be the Costa del Sol, the side quest, when they talk about, going on a date, right? She is trying very hard to get Cloud to play along with this date, to make him act like it's a date, but Cloud isn't budging, and she's trying too hard, right? She is trying too hard, and Cloud is just not having it. It's just, I don't understand the writing choices. There are moments in the game where she's fucking brilliant. Like, her writing is amazing. But these are these oddball choices in some of her writing. Especially, I think it's mostly with the Affinity system, where her writing is like that. It just comes off bad. It's very weird. Now, I understand this as someone who is also an introvert, who also hangs out with a lot of people who are extroverts. A lot of the times, we don't necessarily mesh. There are times when I, as an introvert, just want to stay home, but my extrovert friends want to go out and do something, right? It's very hard for an introvert to ever get out of it. Not every introvert wants an extrovert to basically, crack them from their shell. A lot of times, introverts are very happy being introverted, right? Because for me, I'm just thinking on by myself as an introvert, I just prefer being alone at home, doing the things I love, like playing games and stuff like that, right? I love doing that. I'm socially awkward out there. And yes, people could say that you should go out there more, express yourself, socialize more. But it's very hard for an introvert to ever do that. And when you try to force introverts to do that, it doesn't help out, right? And the reason why I'm talking about this is because Cloud is an introvert. And the way Aerith is an extrovert, who is seeing this whole world, wants to do a lot of things, she wants Cloud to be part of that. But there's a difference in the way both of these characters mesh, and that is that she is trying to get Cloud to socialize, but he doesn't want to. He's like me. He's like an introvert in that way, right? And trust me, it's the only similarities me and Cloud have. Trust me, we are both introverted like fuck. That's the only similarities. I'm not good looking like him. I don't have the fucking sword fighting skills as he does. That's just it. But it's an example of why, you know, writing Aerith like this just seemed off. Like she's trying so hard to get Cloud to break through his shell, almost as if she thinks that's the real Cloud, which isn't the case. Cloud is an introvert. The real Cloud is an introvert. Both Clouds are introverted, right? Whether or not it's the real Cloud or the Cloud, you know, the persona Cloud that he's putting on, you know, through Zack's memories, the J cells, and all that stuff, he's still an introvert. And when an extrovert tries to force, you know, people to come out of their introverted ways, if they don't want to, it causes a lot of issues in terms of like a character's relationship. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the characters eventually hate each other. No. That's far from it. The characters are really, really good friends. Even if their styles of lifestyle clash against each other, they still care about each other. Because at the end of the day, they are friends, right? And he really, really is someone who cherishes Aerith and wants to protect her, right? He really does, you know, like her as someone who, you know, brought upon a new world, a new way to view the world. I'm not saying it is romantic, because at the end of the day, I don't believe the interactions in Rebirth, Remake, or the OG is trying it to be romantic. Because at the end of the day, each and every character is a friend. Don't even think about shipping in that. Don't even think about shipping, right? I know I mentioned it, but don't even think about it. Because at the end of the day, at the core, they're friends. That's how all romances, all shipping is done. At the core, it's about essentially, you know, friendship. So it just comes off like Aerith is being a little too pushy. And I think part of that is that she just wants to essentially, you know, be closer to Cloud. And not only Cloud, but to everyone else as well. Because at the end of the day, like I said, Aerith is a extrovert that was caged in her entire life. She never was able to make friends, you know, because of her being a Cetra. And for the first time in a long time, she finally has found people who she can consider as friends. She, you know, buddies up with Tifa so well. She doesn't really know how to, you know, act with Cloud, because it's two styles clashing against each other. And she does all this not because she's being mean. She's not doing this because she, you know, is trying very hard to get Cloud to like her. It's just that she doesn't really know how to, you know, hang out with someone like Cloud, who is a male around her age. And, you know, she doesn't know. The only experience she ever had was with Zack, right? And so she's trying very hard to replicate the same things she is doing with Zack. And her relationship with Zack was more of like two people who eventually, you know, have a crush with each other, crush on each other. And eventually, you know, they date for a while. And I think part of her is trying to, you know, be a friend to Cloud, you know, because she never had a close male friend like this. And also tries, you know, the whole thing with Zack and, you know, her trying to see if Cloud is Zack in any sort of way or similar to Zack. And that causes a lot of her personality, a lot of her writing to clash with each other. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make her a bully. It just makes her awkward. I think it just makes the whole situation awkward. The writing is still questionable. Like, it's very hard to pinpoint exactly why they chose, you know, to write Aerith the way they did. Because it does come off weird, right? It does come off weird. There are moments in the game where she's brilliant. Like in Cosmo Canyon, she's brilliant. In the Temple of the Ancient, she's brilliant. Her writing is amazing. It's the side stuff, it's the parts of the affinity system, and it's just other things that how she tries very hard to get to know or try to understand Cloud and her own personal feelings, that it just doesn't mesh well. There's also, you know, the whole situation where a lot of people claim that Aerith, you know, is a very mean person because she's trying to steal, you know, Cloud away from Tifa. And at the end, you know, I keep saying at the end of the day, but like, I need to find a different vocabulary for that. But I don't think she's trying to steal Cloud away from Tifa. She's just trying to understand Cloud. And I think part of it is trying to understand that Aerith never really had great opportunities or even had friends. And the way she acts around Cloud is part and due with Zack. So it just comes off weird. It's just an extrovert trying to get along with the introvert, but they don't understand how introverts work. And part of that is because she has been caged her entire life, and her cheerfulness, her bubbliness, her hyperactive nature just causes a lot of the writing to clash. Granted, that doesn't really explain on the Junon stuff, because it's just still that might just be like jealousy in some form way, because again, she's trying to figure out if Cloud is Zack, or Cloud knows anything about Zack, or she sees Zack still in Cloud at that moment. So it's like it just comes off bad. The writing is off bad, but overall her character is really good because, as I said, we are exploring the world for the first time in a 3D landscape, the same way Aerith does. She has been caged in Midgard. She's exploring the world, seeing all these wonderful things with her friends that she has finally made, and it's it comes off as us experiencing it that way, and it's a little weird. Her writing is a little weird, but I don't think it's meant for her to be mean. I think there's a very specific reason they're doing it. Possibly part of it is because of her, the memories that were taken away from her of future events. So this Aerith is essentially trying to figure everything out. Maybe she's worried that her memories will make her forget about about her feelings for Cloud in any sort of way. So she's trying to replicate in some sort of way. But it's very hard to say. I just think at the end of the day, I think anyone who claims that Aerith is being a very bad friend, a very bad person in any form of way in Rebirth, I don't agree with it. I can see why they think that, because the writing is a little weird, but at the end of the day, I don't see that being the case. And I think Aerith is still a wonderful character who really cherishes the people, the friends she has made. She cherishes them so freaking much. The world, the people on this world, because she understands what she has to do as a Tetra. And she understands how important her role is. And she kind of accepts her fate. Now, whether or not she stays alive in part 3, I have no idea. So that's up to debate until part 3 comes out. But I just want to make it clear, I do not dislike Aerith. I don't think Aerith was being mean or a bad person in Rebirth. But I do understand that her writing is a little weird compared to everybody else. And it's very hard to explain why. It's very hard. It's still confusing. Maybe someone else in the comments can explain it better. But at the end of the day, I do not believe she is, a bad person. She's not badly written. She just has very confusing dialogue that clashes against a lot of things that we already know. And that in part is the writing in general, not her. So, yeah. Please let me know in the comments if you can kind of explain it a little bit more. I do want to have like a discussion about this because her dialogue is a little confusing. And just let me know. Please definitely do that. And please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy VII videos. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.